Family-owned Gig Harbor Brewing has been making delicious, easy-drinking beers since 2015. Come by one of our tap rooms, the Harbor Tap Room along the waterfront in Gig Harbor, or our Tacoma Tap Room and Brewery on South Tacoma Way in Tacoma. Visit the tap rooms, mention the code word GIGLY, and we'll take $1 off your first pint. For the most up-to-date taproom info, please Google Gig Harbor Brewing or find us on Facebook and Instagram. This is Gig Harbor Brewing founder John Fosberg, and I'll see you in the tap rooms.
I remember that time when we had a last fight. Words were said out of line. They were your words, not mine. Do you ever look back and think about all the things you could have said? Replay them over again inside your head. This is the Revisionary Podcast. Stories of all we would have done in the past. This is the Revisionary Podcast with your host, Juan Carlos. The Revisionary Podcast.
Welcome to Redux, a podcast about music, by a music lover, for music lovers. I'm Van Berryman, math teacher by trade, podcaster by hobby, former radio host and production coordinator, and avid music lover. Step into Redux for deep looks into album reviews with a concise but thorough comparison of an artist's first album to their most recent and their journey to get there. Plus, top 10 lists, best ofs, and other musical inputs to get you through the day. If you like what you hear, drop a follow on Instagram at Redux Podcast and feel free to let me know there what reviews you want to hear. Come along on this journey with me, sit back, and enjoy the ride.
This is the Revisionary Podcast. Stories of all we would have done.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Revisionary Podcast. And as always, I'm your host, Juan Carlos. If this is your first time listening, the way this works is we bring on guests, usually comedians, who tell a nonfiction story about their lives in which they wish things had gone a little bit differently. Afterwards, I give them an opportunity to tell the same exact story, except the second time, they can change any facts or details that they would like about the story. So, this is another one of those episodes which I probably should have aired a lot earlier, but again, it fell a little bit through the cracks, so I apologize to that. But I'm actually excited for this one. So, here's the funny story about this one. So, we have Ray Gootz, and Ray's someone that I was really excited to work with. I've known about Ray for a while, like even before he knew about me. There's a show on Amazon Prime called Comics Watching Comics, created by Kevin Gauthier, and Ray was one of the judges on the show for a while. So it's funny, I remember like being a brand new comic and watching the show and listening to some of the feedbacks that they were giving other comedians that I did know. And it was just a lot of little things that, you pick up on. Things like, make sure you move the mic stand out of the way. Make sure you're not playing with the mic stand when you're up on stage. Like all these like little details. And sometimes they would give even a little bit of advice on joke writing. And I took it all with a grain of salt, right? Because they weren't necessarily talking to me. But you pick up little things and techniques here. Well, anywho, I remember, if you guys will remember, I recorded an episode with Lynette Palladino. While I was recording with Lynette, apparently Ray was in the background because she was at his house. Like, I guess they were having dinner or something. And I had mentioned, I was like, oh, yeah, I would love to have him on the podcast. So Lynette leans back and goes, hey, Ray, you want to be on Juan Carlos's podcast? And Ray was like, yeah, I'll do it. And next thing I know, I'm reaching out to Ray and here we are with an opportunity to sit down. So I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool the way this all worked out. So I'm excited. I was excited to sit down with him and have this conversation. So why don't I go ahead and we'll play the clip for you guys, and I will see you guys in a little bit.
Hey Ray, how are you?
Hey, what's going on? Good. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Revisionary Podcast. So what have you been up to?
With everything going on, not much. I've since the numbers got back up, I stopped doing a lot of outdoor shows. I just kind of chill in my house. But I do have a Disney podcast that comes out every week, Gootz's Disney Pod, which you can find on iTunes. And it's me and a comedian reviewing a different Disney film every week. This season, we're on Pixar. I just did Cars, and on Christmas Day comes out Ratatouille. And I also do a daily wrestling podcast with my friend Andrew Lee called the Gootz Cast. So I'm busy with those two things. But other than that, just laying low.
Yeah, you've had a pretty interesting comedy career. You've been doing this for a while, huh? Haven't you?
Yeah, I was been part time since around 2008 and full time since 2015. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's amazing. I remember. It's funny because so this is kind of cool for me because I've kind of been watching you for years on Comics Watching Comics.
Oh yeah, I did that season of that. Yeah, I remember that. That was an interesting show. That was a long day of shooting. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I imagine. I'm a huge fan of that show. I don't know why. I just enjoy watching it.
Yeah, no, that was a good idea. He was smart to do it. He's really hustled with that. I don't know if he's gonna be able to continue to do it with comedy being over, but it's a good show.
It's a good show, and you're really into the comics and all that stuff, right? That's your like forte.
Yeah, comic books, wrestling, horror movies. I'm big into horror. Like when I did outdoor shows, I turned the whole property into a haunted house, and we had shows in the backyard.
That's
and
amazing.
I have a separate entrance so people can use the bathroom, and I decorated it like a haunted house. So I'm big into like all that stuff. Yeah.
How'd you get into that stuff?
Just growing up, my dad. With horror, I got into that because Channel 9 would have the late night horror movie on Saturdays.
Uh-huh.
So my dad would always watch it. There would always be horror movies on Saturdays. So we'd watch it. And Saturdays was kind of the night I would stay up late, whether it was Saturday Night Live or wrestling. But I would always go to the horror movie instead of Saturday Night Live. I could give a shit about that show, even to this day. And comic books, I just was always into them. And, my parents, I think, basically taught myself how to read with them. And I don't buy comic books anymore because they're basically just a ripoff, and but I still read them. I read them digitally now. So
sure. And if you don't mind me asking, where'd you grow up?
Astoria. Lived in the same house my entire life.
Oh, okay. So you're a Queens boy, born and bred.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have not left here. I still live. We're going to talk about my high school in the story. I still live like 5 blocks from it. So
that's amazing. Well, I guess unintentionally, that seems like the perfect segue. Ray, why don't you go ahead and the stage is yours. Go ahead and tell us your story.
Okay, so the funniest thing about this story is that the story actually starts with Bill Clinton and what he did with Monica Lewinsky, but then it segues to me. So I was told by my music teacher from my junior high school that Bill Clinton was coming to the junior high school to talk about drugs or something. And certain kids in high school were going to go play for him. I wasn't picked to play for him. Mm-hmm. I didn't care. I told my mom. My mom freaked out and said I had to meet Bill Clinton. Mm-hmm. It was going to be the greatest moment of my life. I had to go meet him. So she yelled at the teacher till he put me in. I really didn't even know how to play trombone. I was very bad at it. I go there, though, and he doesn't show up. Do you know what they did? They had him on a speakerphone. He talked to whoever was in charge of the assembly on the speakerphone. And then we played music for him on the speakerphone. He was in Jersey. Now, when the whole Kenneth Starr thing came out, it was revealed, I think, that Monica Lewinsky was with him in Jersey. This guy blew off this drug assembly, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what he. But that's not the part of the story. That's not the interesting part of the story. I go back to my junior high school, and it's so funny because now, like I'm 39. You meet someone who's 38, 37. Sometimes you almost feel like they're older than you,
Yeah.
But I met the kids a year younger than me, and one of the kids was this girl, Anna, and I fell in love with her at first sight. I thought she was the most gorgeous thing I ever saw at this assembly, and I had a huge crush on her. The moment I laid eyes on her, I had a huge crush on her. I don't see her again after that. She starts going to my high school. I was in 9th grade when I met her. She was in the 8th grade. So for the first 2 years, I always see her in the hallway, and she's really hot, but nothing really comes of it. Mm-hmm. We get to my senior year, and we're in the school play together, Wilderness, which who wrote that? Tennessee. I'm about to say Tennessee Lee, but he's a WWE character. But anyway, we're in the school play together.
Right.
And she's dating this guy named Verge, who we always have to joke about him that he was 40 years old and he was still in high school. This guy, I think, was left back 9 or 10 times.
Oh, my.
So she had this boyfriend for a while, so I kind of got over my crush on her, and I had a crush on this other girl. She was Greek. I'm not going to say her name, because if I say her name, you can literally look her up in my face. There's only one person with that name. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
No one else has the name that she has. But I had a crush on this girl now. So we all go to McDonald's after play practice, And we all leave, and me and Anna start we bond. We're doing this prank where we go into stores, and she pretends like, leave me alone, and I yell at her. And she walk into one store, and she screams, I'm keeping the baby, you can't stop me. Like, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And Anna invites me to her house. I go over her house, and, you know, I told her I had a crush on this other girl, and we're talking about it. But I was at the house for like 2-3 hours. I was at that house for a long time, and we really, really connected. And I'll never forget, it was like November 15th. And I'll never forget because I didn't want to go inside the house. I was like, I shouldn't go inside your house. You have a boyfriend. She goes, so who cares? But I went inside the house, and it was a great night. I was there for like the first time I ever went over a girl's house.
Yeah.
Connected. A month later, she reveals to me that she broke up with Burge, and she wants me to go with her to the school dance. And I was still very nervous because this girl also kind of had like a little bit of an attitude.
Sure.
And I was nervous to go to school. So I said no. And she had her mom beg me. She had her best friend ask me. Everyone begged me. I went with her to school dance. I had an okay time. Actually, I had a great time because I was with her. You know what I mean? But it was almost like, it was weird because her and this guy used to make out in the hallway. Like, make out. Like, they basically film a porn in the hallway. Now she's hanging out with me. She wasn't with me, but she's hanging out with me. So we started spending a lot more time together, like a lot more time together. And I really fall for her. I'm basically, this is the first time I was ever in love. And I was in love with her, but I was still very nervous to make a move. I didn't really know how to make a move. She would sometimes like hint that she wanted to make a move. I didn't. We spent Valentine's Day together. We're really hanging out. And then it gets to like, I decided I wanted to do things that I'm into. So I asked her to go to me this wrestling show in Queens. I don't know. Do you like wrestling?
I mean, I grew up a huge wrestling fan, but I've fallen out of it as I've gotten older.
Do you remember ECW?
Yes.
So ECW would have shows in Queens, like right by the Queens Center Mall.
Sure.
It was very much a local promotion. It was very cheap, $25 tickets. So I thought they were a lot of fun, and I don't regret going to them. They were amazing. There's never going to be shows like that again in wrestling history. There's basically like going to see Zeppelin at its prime or something in terms of like what they meant for the wrestling industry, ECW. So I get tickets, and then like she starts getting weird, and I didn't know how to react. And this is what part of the story I want to change. I didn't know how to react with her being so weird, and she started getting weird, and she started hanging out around Verge more. She started rolling her eyes at me more, and she basically was getting sick of me, which I didn't get. I was like very nervous. Now I'm totally in love with this girl, and she sends me a letter. We used to send each other letters in math class. We had the same math class at this time. Sends me a letter, goes like, you can't make ECW. And I went, oh, that really sucks because, I already bought the ticket and I really missed you. I was hoping to see you. And she sends back a note that's like, if you really, I don't need you to miss me. Like, if you were going to be this clingy, I wouldn't have hung out with you in the first place. And I was
what?
Like, yeah. So that night, she calls me over and I go to her place.
Sure.
And she gives me back the money and then she starts going to me like, if I knew you were going to be like this, I would have hung out with you. I feel like you have a lot of the same patterns that this guy Verge does. Like I've thought about being with you, but I can't do the same thing. And also, you're not very social. I can't keep dragging you out to have a good time.
Right.
You're very clingy, all this stuff. And I was doing a horrible job stating my case. I was doing an awful job. And when I left, I'll never forget, this is the last time I was in her house. She had her head down. She wouldn't turn around when I left. And I think I said I loved you like 2 or 3 times. She didn't say nothing. She just had her head down.
Right.
So that next week, I am just completely depressed. I'm miserable. I'm freaking out. We were in a second play, Greece. And I started skipping practice. Sure. I went to like one practice that weekend and she was like talking shit about me. I could tell she was like making fun of me, but I was going to teachers for advice. I went to everybody for advice. And that was another thing I shouldn't have done. Should just everyone gave me terrible advice. Everyone gave me terrible advice. When we get to the end of the story, one of the teachers was like, because one of the teachers said, just tell her how you feel or tell her that this is hurting. What's the worst that's going to happen? And I said, remember when you said what's the worst that's going to happen? He goes, yeah, I didn't expect her to be this crazy. So anyway, things are getting bad. And there was this kid in the play. Damien was a freshman who got the lead role in the play.
Right.
Which was unheard in all this, which was unheard of. They always kind of had the seniors be the lead roles. And the freshmen, when I was a freshman and a sophomore, I wanted to be the lead. I wanted to like really try to be and put my hand in dramatic pieces. And they went, no, you're too young. You have to wait till you're a senior. When I was a senior, I got a role with 2 lines, okay?
Oh, wow.
I was
That's the worst.
best actor there. This kid gets the role. He didn't like me, and I didn't like him, but I decided because Anna started kissing this loser's ass. So I go to talk with him like I'm going to bond with this idiot, right? Mm-hmm. Another mistake. That Friday, I don't go to school. I'm so depressed. So our big, I'm not going to ECW, I never should hung out with you, was on a Friday. Mm-hmm. The next Friday is April 30th. And I skip school. I don't go to school. I decide to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge. Even back then, it was like I've done a lot of walks. I've walked out to Manhattan when I do outdoor shows in Manhattan. I walk. I don't trust the subways right now with COVID. But I walked to the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm having a great day, very at peace. What I don't know is that kid Damien is going around telling people, including the girl I had a crush on and the Verge, that I was telling everyone that Anna's my girlfriend. And in the middle of the school play Grease, I'm going to announce that we're like together, right?
Oh, no.
I never said she's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
You know? So this guy, Sean, calls me. He goes into the teacher's office and calls me and tells me that you got to get here. Anna said she's going to kill you. She's really mad at you. And I call, so there were these 2 seniors. Mm-hmm. No, they weren't seniors. One kid was already in college. 2 kids who were already in college, Natalie and Kenny. They wanted to have me and Anna do a scene at their college because they were working on something. Mm-hmm. And that they were going to work on they were trying to get me and Anna to like meet up. And, you know, this guy, Kenny, I think he went with us to ECW. He was like, you know, this is one of those things that just happens. People, you have arguments with girls you like, but, you know, I know she likes you. I know she cares for you. It's just going to work out. You know, don't worry about it. So I called him because Natalie, I don't even know if she still does, but he lived across the street from me. So I called him like, we'll go to the school with you, right? We'll go to school with you and we'll help you. Like, you know, like we have your back. So we all go to the school together. Now they were rehearsing Grease. Also, this is a week after Columbine. I have to let you know. This is a week after Columbine.
Okay.
This is 1999. So in the school, there were the cheerleaders, there was the choir practice, there was the people in detention, and then there was the school play folks. So me and Natalie and Kenny go in. Anna starts screaming at me from the entire school. Ray, you said we had sex. You said we had this. You said we were boyfriend and girlfriend. And I'm like, I never said that. She goes, really? Because Verge, Damien, the girl that you like, that everyone would know the name of, we said it, said you did. And I was like, I did not say it. I don't know. And then I start freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to lose this girl. And I'm like crazily in love with her. Right.
Right.
And the teacher pulls Anna aside. One of the teachers who was a big jerk, Miss something. She was like the choreographer, some history teacher. She was a fat loser. She goes, Anna, don't antagonize him. You know what happened at Columbine, right?
Oh no.
And when I hear that, I'm like, you really think that I'm capable of that? And then I go, Natalie and Kenny, can you help me out? And they're like, they basically now have just taken aside. We go outside. She's still screaming at me outside in front of school. This is a complete failure on every adult, by the way. These adults are just letting this happen. The acting teacher, Miss Weinstein, didn't like me because I was talented, and I called her on being an untalented pile of garbage. And anyway, so Verge is giving me this lecture. She's crying in Verge's arms. She's back with Verge.
Yeah.
And she's crying in his arms. And I was just livid. He's like, Ray, this is a good lesson for you. Hopefully now you learn how to treat women better or not lie. And I'm like, I didn't say any of this. And Lana goes like, 6 people are telling me you said this. If 6 people, why would 6 people lie? You tell the truth or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, because they don't like me. This girl doesn't like me because I stopped liking her. Damien doesn't like me because he's jealous of me. Verge wants you back. The acting teacher doesn't like me because she's jealous of me. And so it was this big thing.
Right.
I only talked to her one other time. We had a phone conversation, and I said to her, "Didn't this mean anything to you? Didn't that I would bring up?" And she was like, "No, it meant nothing to me." But this keeps going. She called in a bomb. She had one of the guys who liked her calling a bomb threat to the school.
What?
And then she went around telling everybody that I did it. This is right after Columbine. I got a bomb threat. Then I used to make an underground. This is before the internet. I used to make an underground newspaper making fun of people in the school. and she printed out multiple copies and tried to get me banned from prom, graduation.
Yeah.
None of the teachers knew I did it. Nobody knew who made it, but she put in everyone. Verge was like mad at me, threatened me, all this stuff. And there's really like the fact he did it in front of the entire school. I quit Grease. I was like super into acting. I wanted to do stand up in high school.
Right.
In high school, I'll never forget. One of the kids was saying to me, "I heard they have comedy classes at Caroline's. You should take one." This is in 1999. I don't start working in 2003. But I lost my passion for wanting to stand up. I lost my passion for acting. Sure. This thing really hurt me because this was the first girl I really liked. And I was always afraid to tell girls how I felt because I was afraid of rejection. Mm-hmm. And the way she rejected me was just so over the top. It was like Infinity War of rejections. The fact that she got the other girl I was into, she got her. She's getting back with her ex, who she claimed was abusive to her. The teacher is there laughing about it. This kid who like wants to be like the new me, Damien. All my friends are there. All the kids that were in detention are chanting Jerry. So this messed me up. Like college, I didn't date. I didn't really start like dating girls again until my 20s. And people always say, get over it. It happened when you were in high school. But, I look back and like, I was just a kid. I don't know any of this. I'm just a young kid who like, I like a girl and she didn't let me, she like basically threw a nuclear bomb. She basically gaslit me through a nuclear bomb. I mean, she kept going. She like she prank called my house a few times. They canceled the school play the next year. She told everybody it was because of me. She just kept going. And I look back now and I realized that she was mentally ill. She got into a huge thing with that guy Verge at a nightclub a year later. She has turned on a bunch of other people like that. I realized this woman was mentally ill now, looking back.
Right. You didn't know that at the time.
I didn't know at the time. And, that guy Verge, I've since not made up. We never had a conversation about this. One time I made a status making fun of me. He goes, "You need to get over it." We never had. He's a teacher now. I don't think he should be a teacher. That's a whole other story. But we've never had a conversation about this.
Sure.
But I've seen him at high school reunions. I've been nice to him. He's married now with kids. The girl that I was into, I've seen her around, and I'm nice to her. But I've never had a conversation with these people. I tried to be friends. That guy Sean stayed in my life. The guy who told me to come there, he stayed in my life for years, and he got super close with Damien. So every now and then I would try to be nice with Damien again. But that thing really did affect me for a lot of years. And I think if that didn't go down the way it went down, I think I'd probably already be married now or something. Because even when I was younger, I wanted to just get a girlfriend and be married. Like I was one of the guys that probably would have married his high school sweetheart.
Right.
And it never really happened for me. And I think it made me start stand up later than I should have. So it was a very traumatizing thing. It was not good.
Okay. Mm-hmm. By the way, is that your dog here in the background?
Yeah, they're on my lap now.
It's adorable.
Oh, thank you.
No, that's funny. Okay. So just a few things here. Before we get into it, I wanted to share this with you because you kind of shared it. You know how you mentioned at one point how somebody was messing at you and was yelling at you like, "Oh, I don't want to hook up with you" or something like that in a public setting.
We mean when she was hooking up with her boyfriend in a public setting? Oh yeah, no, yeah. She was yelling at me. Yeah, that we're not together, and I don't like you like that, and leave me alone. You better like basically, I was like stalking her. Basically.
Right. It's funny. I wanted to share something with you because I remember in high school as well. I was on my way to a school dance with a few friends, and one of my friends, you know what? I'll shout her out. My friend Lizzie. So there you go. Now your name's out in the public sphere that everyone can Google you. We were riding the subway during rush hour, heading to the school. Like, so you know how the subway's packed.
Yeah.
Right? I'm on the D train. I don't know why that's important, but I don't know. I think that's funny to the story. And all of a sudden, my friend Lizzie out of nowhere turns to me and at the top of her lungs goes, "No, I will not hook up with you. Get away from me, you creep. Stop."
Oh, when we were doing stuff, yes, we were going to the stores and act like we're a crazy couple. Yeah. Yes.
Which is essentially what happened to you. And I mean, at the time, I remember being mortified because first and foremost, nothing was happening between Lizzie and I. But second of all, like I was this high school kid. I did not know what was going on. I didn't know what was happening. And the worst part is, you know how New Yorkers are. So as soon as everyone heard her yell that at me and her like fake storm off, they didn't know it was fake. everyone's like whispering stuff, and like they're like coming up with all these conspiracy theories about what happened and what's going on in my life and my relationship. And I remember, I'll never forget this. This guy turns to me and goes, "Hey, brother, if you were really handling that the way you're supposed to, she wouldn't be yelling at you like that." I just could not. I was so embarrassed. But I don't know. That's what I thought of when I heard your story.
That's hilarious. I just want to add one other thing to the story. That I think made it worse. So I had a group of friends. So we had a group of friends called the Bronco Boys.
Sure.
And Verge had a group of friends called the Pingas. And my friend Johnny, he's Italian. My friend Johnny, he's Italian. He is pro-Trump now.
Sure.
He was my best friend back then. He's not a guy who hangs around Puerto Rican guys. Let me put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden that summer, and I always look back at this with a lot of resentment, we started doing things with the Pingas. This is the summer after this guy's now back to banging Anna full time.
Sure.
They're together. And like one of my friends was like, "Oh, I went to Virgil's house. He has 2 photo albums of pictures of him with Anna." This is before phones. So you had to have a photo album. You had to go get it printed.
Right.
And it was just like, why after this guy went out of his way to hurt me? Why did we spend that summer after high school hanging out with them? I don't understand that. And the Pingas are still close. And me and the Bronco Boys, the last time we hung out was at my mom's funeral, the 4 of us. Like 2 of well, there was like 6 of us, but my friend Tassos doesn't talk to John. He hates John. And Bondin is in upstate doing nothing. And we're not close anymore. And it's like, you know what, guys? Like, I think like the way it started us not being close is like, why did John bring in the Bronco? Why did John bring in the Pingas? Why did Ricky and Bond? Why did these guys? We got to hang out with the Pingas. Why?
Yeah.
Why? They hurt me. I've known you guys since kindergarten, and they hurt me. And you know, that's the part where it's like, you know, because it's just in my face. It's in my face. And this guy Verge even threatened John, and that's when John stopped hanging out with him. And it was just like, why are we still hanging out with these people? And I don't know. It's always, that's another thing it's just everyone like just didn't take into consideration my feelings. And I think that's why this has festered in me so long. Because it was like, everyone just went out of the way to hurt me. It's like, oh, just get over it. And it's like, no, I'm not getting over it because I'm young. I'm like 17 years old. I'm not ready for this. I'm a young effing guy. Everyone else was having sex when they were 10 years old. Sorry, my parents had angel statues. I don't know if you see these action figures on the wall, but that was my life. Like, I'm still in a Disney movie, and you guys are snorting coke and hitting each other in the butt. I mean, anyway.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like they valued your friendship?
But I think they were like, because they were already like 4 girls deep in relationships. Were like, oh, just get over this. Because like me and her didn't hook up. Like, really, you didn't hook up, so just get over it. Yeah, but it was emotionally, she basically destroyed me. Like, I was nervous about hooking up. That's why we didn't hook up.
Right.
And she like really took my vulnerability and basically exploited it. Like, she basically made me a wreck. I didn't trust women for so long. And I went after an older woman when I was 22, and she basically did the same thing. Basically turned on me really badly, but I was nervous. So like, and like even to this day, like I'm nervous to like really like be open and honest with a woman if I'm attracted to her. Like there's a girl in California right now. She just broke up with her boyfriend, and I want to say, you know, I've had a crush on you. I only know her from the internet. I've had a crush on you, and I don't want to say it, and I don't know why. I just see her on Instagram. It's not like she's gonna get a job. You know, we're not gonna work together, and she's gonna accuse me of right. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But I'm still like nervous about like what could happen if I just am open and honest.
Right. No. Look, I get that. And let me ask you this: do you think that things would have been a little bit differently if you had escalated to a physical level?
Yes. I should have when she set out a couple of cues. Because then she wouldn't. I don't think she would have been able to lie as much or been that. I think part of her resentment was I was being wishy-washy because I was afraid to get hurt. So I think she got very angry about that. So like, are we just friends, or do you want to have sex with me? Or I think if one day she said to me, "You can do whatever you want to me." If I had just done something, anything, rather than I literally moved away from her and watched TV because I was like, oh, I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. She goes, you're literally not making me feel uncomfortable. It's like the reverse of it, me too. Sure. Like literally do something to me. And I'm like, no, this is you said no. No, I didn't say, anyway, I think if I did do something, I think she was kind of frustrated with me.
Sure.
I don't think she got that I was very nervous as my first. I don't think she didn't understand.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So let's move on to the next part of this. Go ahead and retell us your story.
Okay, so what I would have first done differently is when Sean said, "Get to the school, come here," I would have said no, and I would have waited for Anna to call me on the phone. I would not have gone near her in a public setting. That's the first thing I learned. Like when there's a confrontation with a woman, you do not do it in a public setting. You don't do it via text anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
do it in private, verbally, face to face. I should have waited for that. I should have been more calm, more collected. I should have realized that like being nervous is going to lose her faster than actually, you know what I mean? Like you're already on the road to losing her. The other thing I should have done is I wish I had done and I feel like if I had a conversation with her in private with
Sure.
nobody around, no Verge, no anybody, it still would have really hurt me. But I think I could have gotten through to her more. I think
Sure.
she would have. I think she was putting on a show for everyone. That look at this weirdo who's obsessed with me, because she used to tell me like, I hope we're friends forever. We haunt each other as ghosts. Da da da. She said a lot of deep things to me, and I think she wouldn't have been able to either like take them back or lie about them if we had just done. The other thing too is I should have communicated with. I never reached out to her, talked to her. Oh my God, I'd lost it. I forgot another huge part of the story.
Sure, go ahead.
So she lived only a few blocks from me. I used to go over to my friend John's house, the Bronco
Sure.
boy, and we watched wrestling. Well, he would have to drive me home. He had to drive by her house. That summer, he got a brand new car, a 1999. Oh God, Lincoln. What's the big truck? Like Navigator.
Navigator, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We would blare music because we were so happy we had a huge truck with incredible sounds. We would blare music.
Right.
I guess she knew it was our car. She called up my mom, says, every Monday, they drive my house blaring music. Your son is this. Your son's obsessed with me. That she called me. I was in college. I'm already in college. I'm in like creative writing class.
Yeah.
My mom cursed her the F out. My mom told her she was the town whore. She goes, how can you speak to me like this? And my mom traced the number. She called from Miss Weinstein's desk in the English office, who was the acting teacher. So my mom went to the school and spoke to the principal and said, look, I know these two had a thing in your school. My son's in college now. Why is she harassing me here? And the principal was like, you have the right to sue us if you want. You know what I mean? You have all the power here. Mom's like, I'm not gonna do that to you or the staff, but just don't do this again. You know, okay. So, but she could you believe that she called my mom? Anyway, I should have been communicating with her. Like the moment she called my mom, I should have called her. But I should have been more communicative. I should not have just cut it off. I should have talked with her more, and got more to the heart of what was going on. And the other thing, I think, if I had done that, if I had talked to her in private, talked to her more, I should have followed what my heart wanted, and I should have went and done stand-up at 18. Because I think if I had done stand-up at 18, I think my career would have I'm happy with my career, but I think I would have been doing a lot better. My problem was I got into comedy by working at Caroline's right after college. Mm-hmm. And I think I was at Caroline's for so many years as the manager. I was managing there for 12 years. I think it was very hard for people to separate me from that place. And even after I left, they gave me Monday nights, and I did it. And I thought people would be able to different. Oh, Ray just has a show there. He's not really still there. He's a full-time comic. And then I got banned from there right before COVID. That's a whole other story. I don't know about that one though. I think, you know, I when I got banned from there, people still thought I worked there as a manager.
Sure.
Like people who like work there regularly. Like I'm like, you've never seen me manage. I'm only there on Mondays, and I'm on stage on Mondays. So I think if I had gotten into comedy at 18, I would have been more, you know, doing the grunt work and being like on the ground with people who were starting back then, which were people like Mike Birbiglia and people like I think Eric Andre started around that time, you know. Sure. And I think it would have been easier for people to see me as a real comic, because I told my dad when I quit in 2015, it's gonna be really hard for people to take Caroline's out of me, because I've been there for so long. And I think a lot of times you work at a comedy club and you do comedy, people just think you're a hobbyist. You know, you're not really real into it. And I think if I had just went into comedy at 18, I would have ate my nuts for years. But I think by the time I was 25 or 26, I would have been like on the road. I think I would have been on TV already. I think if I had just put all my effort into that, it would have been better. But I kind of, took bad advice. I shouldn't have taken. you can't ask everybody for advice.
Sure.
It's your own life, and you've got it. And that's what I've learned, especially now after COVID. When I was doing the outdoor shows, a lot of comics try to boss me on where to do things in my backyard. I said, you know what? This is my backyard. This is my ass if it goes wrong. We're doing it my way. I don't care if you don't like it because our careers are over. So all I have is doing this show in my backyard,
Right.
And I want to end the show feeling comfortable in my own skin. We're not making money. I'm not becoming famous. I just want to feel comfortable. So we're doing this my way. And I think I should have been more like that. Like, I'm doing this my way. I don't care how you think. I should have quit the play. I should have stayed in the play and just tortured everybody because I can say this now with 100% certainty. I was so much more talented than everybody involved in that production. I was more talented than Verge. I was more talented than the acting teacher, Miss Weinstein. Mm-hmm. And I should not have let these people who didn't have any talent. Oh, Anna was a singer too. She's done nothing with it. I shouldn't have let these people who had no talent bring me down. I shouldn't let a guy who's now an assistant bring me down. I should have recognized I am better than these people. I'm more talented than these people. I'm doing this play. I'm going to keep pursuing acting. I'm going to do stand up now. I should not have given up because I was like, before I got the job at Caroline's, I was studying to be a teacher, and one of my teachers saw me do that, and she was so disappointed. Yeah, I thought you would become like a writer or a comedian. Yeah, and I'm happy I did find my path, but I wish I'd found it earlier. And I think if I had confronted her in private, I think a lot of her venom would have been gone because a lot of it was for show. She was putting on a show for everyone, but there would have been no show if it's just me and her alone, like on the in her house, or me and her alone on the phone. She couldn't have put on a show like that. Mm-hmm. So I think, what I would have done is talk to her in private and started stand up when I was 18 years old.
Okay, and so now you mentioned. You mentioned that, later on, your friends, the Bronco Boys, were still hanging out with the other group. Would you have changed that as well? Do you wish that hadn't happened?
I should have said something. I should have put my foot down more. And I should have been like, I don't feel comfortable like this. And it's either you hang out with me or you hang out with them. And I didn't, you know what? I have a lot of good memories that summer, and I had a really great time with the Bronco Boys. Mm-hmm. So but I should have put my foot down more. I've been like, it's either me or them. Like, I don't know why we're hanging out with them. They don't really like us. Mm-hmm. They are a whole different, I'm not, look, me and John and Metin and Ricky, we didn't drink. We didn't do drugs. We didn't even have sex. We basically watched wrestling and went to Boulder Creek and ate food and drove around. Mm-hmm. We weren't losers, but we were like good kids. These were guys that drank all night. These were like, look, that's my life now. Like they were drank all night. They hooked up with all the girls. They would pass around this one girl. That was not us. That was not us. And it was weird that they wanted to hang out around these people after high school. It was weird.
Right. So, right. No, that makes sense. Yeah. First and foremost, I want to thank you for coming on the Revisionary Podcast as we're beginning to wind down here. We have two traditions here on the podcast before I let you go. The first is at the end of every episode, we like to ask their guests if they can share a quick childhood story that puts a smile on their face or just makes them feel warm inside. The first thing that comes to mind.
Okay, this is a dark story, but it makes me laugh. Okay. So I had the best Christmases as a little kid. I got everything I wanted and then some. I mean, I got like complete sets of figures, not like the but I got like the Universal Monsters, and I would get that. I got play sets. I got video games. I got everything I wanted. I got everything, especially when I was a little kid. Yeah, it would literally be 20, 30 presents deep. My stocking would be like 40, 50 things. But every Christmas, my dad, after we were done, everybody left, my dad would lay down, did you like this Christmas? My dad's Mexican. I'm Mexican, brother. Did you like this Christmas? And I'm like, yeah, I did. Well, you better enjoy it. Because my dad had me when he was 56, I think, 54, 56. You better enjoy it because next year I'm going to be dead. I'm like, no, Dad, I'm old. I should have had a kid my age. And I'm working too hard anymore, but I got to work to buy you toys. So if I'm dead, you're not going to get no toys, so you better enjoy it. I think this is the year I'm going to die. And he didn't die until I was 38? No, 37. So
recently.
Yeah, so we made it through. But he would tell me that, and I I would laugh. It's such a dark. I think back, it's such a dark thing to tell a little kid on Christmas, right? I'm gonna be dead in a year, so you better enjoy it now. That's why I buy you a lot of toys, so you have stuff to play with. You're not gonna. But it was just so funny. That was just my dad. So.
Yeah. No, see, I like that because it's like an insight into your childhood. So I like that little story. That's a good anecdote.
Yeah, I never really thought he was gonna be dead in a year. I'm like, I realized at 3, like, yeah, you had a kid way too. Most people don't have kids. Their first kid at 54, 56, but I mean, he made it till his 90s, and we had a blast all the way to the end. So,
so the second tradition we have on this podcast is that at the end of every episode, we like to highlight a charity or an organization that our guest is passionate about. Do you have one that you're passionate about?
Yeah, there's this thing called Connor's Cure. It's a really nice charity. Basically, there was this kid named Connor who was a huge WWE fan, and he was in the front row when Daniel Bryan won his first title at WrestleMania 30. The kid was dying, and he died a few weeks after that. And they started a charity for him, and they gave him a big award. The kid died. Daniel Bryan told his story, and I was listening to him tell his story. My mom was dying, and I was watching the Hall of Fame on my the WWE Hall of Fame on my phone. And he told the story, like, he wins the title. His dad died shortly after, too, Daniel Bryan. He goes, he wins the title, and first thing he does is he runs out and hugs, and he goes out, he sees Connor and his dad hugging, and Connor's crying because he's so happy that Daniel Bryan won the title. He goes, and that's when I realized none of this matters. Like, me winning the belt, the WWE, like, all the training I went through, if I kicked this guy the right way, if I did this move. The only thing that matters is being with your child, and the only thing that matters is being with your family, the people you love. And they started a charity for kids who are dying like Connor. And so I really like that charity, and I love the story of Connor and how it came to be. And I look, I'll never forget, because I'm sitting there with my mom. My mom's like 2 days away from dying. And when Daniel Bryan said that at the Hall of Fame, it really got to me. Most of the time wrestling is cheesy and they're putting women through tables. Last night, Randy Orton lit a man on fire. But every now and then they have like these nice moments, and you're like, this is why I watch this crap.
Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you for introducing me.
No, thanks Daniel Bryan for telling me that story at the Hall of Fame. And can I just add one thing?
Sure.
I feel like some people from high school are going to say the reason why I didn't say that girl's name is I'm not really mad at her. I'm mad at everyone else in this story but her. I kind of feel like she just got caught up because Ray likes you, and they like brought her in. Yeah. But she's always, every time I've seen her in the real world, she seems very, very nice. And she watches my Instagram stories, and she has a lovely family. So I think she's actually a really great person. So I don't think she had really anything to do with this. Everyone else can burn in hell. That's why I didn't say her name. So.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. Look, again, I appreciate the amount of passion that is still behind this story, because I can tell that you're there.
Well, I haven't. Every time I try to tell it to people are like, that was so tough. Just get over it. And it's like, yeah, I am over it. But it did affect me for years. It affected me all through college. Sure. And I'm sorry. Like, you're still young in college. You're not like, I know people act like you're an old man in college. And you look back now, I'm going to turn 40 in a month. I was still a little kid. Like, like I never really confronted these people on how much they hurt me. Even that girl, I never really had I was just cool with them after that. But here, if you're listening to this, you really hurt me. You didn't have to go out of your way to do that. That's all.
No. I'm glad that we've created a space where you can let it out, and you can put it out there. Because go ahead.
No, because this year, like when Caroline's banned me, I kind of felt it be right before COVID. Once Caroline's banned me, there were a couple of comedians who were nice to me that weren't so nice to me anymore, and I kind of felt like the world was turning against me this year. And then when COVID hit, I needed a break from. You do stand up? You do stand up? Right?
Yeah, I do stand up.
If you take a break from stand up, people just think you're not doing stand up.
Yep.
They just think you quit. So I knew, even though I was burnt out, because I really felt like Caroline's treated me unfairly, and I felt like some comedians were very rude to me, and they didn't have to be. But I knew, like, you were just dicing me for spots. I kind of felt like I needed a break, and COVID was the right break. And I've actually had a great time this year. I feel better than ever right now.
Sure.
I think my stand-up's better than it's ever been. I feel like my writing's better than it's ever been. But I needed a break, and I think it's important to acknowledge when people hurt you. I think it's important to acknowledge when people do something disrespectful to you. You shouldn't just like be like, oh, whatever, it is what it is. Sometimes you have to tell them. You can't keep it bottled up. And, I felt that way from a lot of people this year, and it was good to take a break, and it was good to take a break from everything and just kind of like be self-reflective for 6 months. And when I started doing stand-up again, I felt like I was better than ever. So.
Oh, look, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Normally I would ask you if you have any last words for us, but I think you.
Yeah, I think I just gave them. Yeah.
Said it on that last statement. I will ask you this though. For those who are listening and have enjoyed your story, where can they follow you?
Ray Gootz on Twitter, Ray Gootz at Instagram, and Ray Gootz on Facebook. So there you go.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and as always, I'll spell his name out in the title of this episode, so you guys can just look down if you're unsure how to spell it. Ray, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the Revisionary podcast. I'm sure our Revisionaries love hearing from you.
Thank you, man.
Well, as always, thank you for joining us, and I'm sure we'll link up in the future. So take care.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
The Revisionary Podcast.
One of the common themes on this show is I like to tell people is like, I'm not a therapist, right? But I do feel that this particular episode was a little therapeutic for him. And I'm glad he got to get it off his chest, you know what I mean? Because he's still passionate about the story. And it still shows, he's still, a little angry about it. And, I'm just glad that we had an opportunity for him to, to speak and get it off his chest, because that's kind of what I envisioned when I first started this, right? I feel like sometimes as people, we're left with these lingering feelings and there's no real way to resolve it. And I'm glad that, that at least I tried to create a healthy outlet for some of these stories. And I'm glad that he was willing to open up and share his story with us here today. And to all you Revisionaries, thank you so much for sticking with me. And as always, thank you for listening.
This is